Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show. So, we saw Wonder Woman last night. And as always, we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of it. When we're done with that, we're going to put up a big old spoiler warning for you, so that you've had ample warning. And we're going to get into some more in-depth stuff about it that is potentially quite spoilery.
Yeah.
So,
spoilerific.
Spoiler-tastic,
right.
even.
So, they did it, guys. DC finally made a movie worth watching. In the DC
yes.
EU.
It is the best DC movie since the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yes.
Probably the best DC movie since the second Christopher Nolan.
Because I'm not a big fan of the third Dark Knight movie.
But Bane's voice.
Yeah, and that's not at all a reason why I actually like Bane in it. I actually like the portrayal of Bane in it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was.
Well, we're not here to talk about the Dark Knight, though. But yeah, this is the best DC movie without Batman in it.
Definitely true. 100% accurate.
Yep.
And I mean, you've probably heard that by now. It's got like an 8 point something high on IMDb.
93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
93 on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.4 on IMDb. You know, so you've probably heard.
Yeah, I was expecting going into it. I was sort of not sure what to expect because on the one hand, their track record had been so bad. I was expecting something awful.
Yes.
But then it started getting good reviews, and I'm like, well, hold on. Is this good for a DC movie? It's like what was said about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The best prequel is like saying, of all the times I've been kicked in the nuts, this was the best time.
Yeah.
So is it one of those situations? And I was surprised in that it's not. It's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah. So overall, it was a very good movie. I wouldn't say it deserves a 93% fresh score from Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like there's a little bit of pandering going on there, but it was definitely a very good movie.
Yeah.
I would say it definitely deserves the 8.4 that it has on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
But 93, that seems, I mean, 93 to me is like a perfect movie, basically, because you're never going to get 100%. So to me, like, 93 is like a perfect movie, and this was not a perfect movie.
No. Yeah, I think one place where it was, I think not to get into spoilers with the villains, I think were kind of weak.
But to be fair, Wonder Woman's always had kind of cheesy
it wasn't
villains
the cheesiness of it. It wasn't the nature of the villains. I think they were handled pretty well considering like the source material. Dr. Poison, well, we just went on and read what her origins were. I'm like, all right, it's DC, Golden Age and Silver Age DC.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, when they,
it's a little iffy
when they mentioned her, and I mean, this isn't really a spoiler because this is on the first like 15 minutes of the movie. But when they're like, Dr. Maru, the boys in the trench color, Dr. Poison, I just like face palmed audibly in the middle of the theater.
But yeah,
and Nolan's just like, well, that's a DC name. It sounds like something from the DC comics, which it was.
Right. It's I think for what they were handled well. I just think there was like a scene in particular. They were very mustache twirling.
Oh yeah,
we can get into that. We can get that later. It was. I mean, it was like they walk out like. So it's Dr. Morrow and then this German general.
General Ludendorff.
Right. I don't. Was he an actual historical figure?
I don't know. Let me look into that. Well, you
because they incorporated it into history pretty well. It's set in World War I. Although some people on the internet seem to think it's World War II.
God, it frustrates me to no end. Yeah, Dr. Erich Ludendorff, or General Erich Ludendorff. Erich Friedrich Wilhelm Ludendorff is in fact German, in case you didn't figure that much out.
Right. So, it's him and her, and like they had like this Boris and Natasha kind of moment.
That's what I was trying to place. Oh my god, I remember watching that, I was thinking, like, this feels familiar. Not like I've seen this exact scene before, but it just feels like something that another famous evil duo would do.
Right. And, I mean, the funny thing was, is that it was kind of out of character, because there was no other point in the movie where they were like that, because they took it very seriously. The movie takes itself seriously.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get on with the review. I think a couple areas where this movie excels over other DC movies, or at least the three.
Not rushing the origin story.
Oh yeah, the script, which is the foundation for any movie. Obviously, it takes its time.
Yeah,
there's no rush.
It's kind of a long movie.
I never felt like they were trying to squeeze too much in. It had a good pacing.
It's 2 hours and 21 minutes long, by the way.
Right, but like it doesn't feel like they're trying to squeeze so much into it, and exposition felt natural, and like sometimes in really bad movies you get this exposition that's so unnatural because there's two people with a shared experience discussing the shared experience as if the other person had not experienced it.
It also helps though when the main character is someone who's not been part of the modern world.
Right, so she needs everything explained.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah, that's a good vehicle for exposition, is everything needs to be explained to her. And then even the exposition of the Amazon origins was told as like a bedtime story when she's a child.
Right.
So anyway, that
whole sequence is pretty cool looking too. The style of
it was like this painting, like came to life, and
yeah, it was really,
pretty cool. The visual effects were really well done.
It kind of reminded me of the story of the Deathly Hallows from the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah,
not so heavily stylized, but kind of like that, where it's like
shadow puppet theater.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was like a painting come to life, sort of way, like a fresco.
Yeah,
came to life. And so, anyway, that was cool. And then I thought the casting was pretty well. Like, Gal Gadot is not the best actress in the world.
No.
But arguably, when you're casting for an adaptation of a visual medium like a comic book, top priority is looks.
Yeah,
and then acting. And she looks the part.
She's tall. She's pretty.
She's athletic.
She's got that like
Mediterranean
look about her.
Yeah,
like Mediterranean skin tone and stuff. I mean, yeah, she looks like what you would expect an Amazonian to look like.
Right.
All the other Amazonians were
either African, they were either black, or they were like Scandinavian, because they needed all tall women.
Yeah.
To be the Amazonians, and I guess they just cast to fit them in. So they're like she's like the only brunette on the island, or except for the black Amazons.
Yeah,
but yeah, like all the rest were blonde.
Yeah, but yeah, and, I mean, so in this though, yeah, she's not the best actress, but in this, her sort of stiff delivery of things, which is probably a lot to do with her like trying to bury the accent.
Yeah, she never quite does. She has a pretty heavy accent,
right? And that's fine for the character. It works well for the character.
Except none of the other Amazons had an accent.
Yeah, they should have. They should have all sounded Greek. But
I mean, Gal Gadot's is a Israeli accent, but
yeah, I mean Israel's Mediterranean close too.
Right, your average American isn't going to discern what her accent is without knowing where she's from.
Right, but her sort of stiff delivery of lines and stuff actually works well for this movie because she's out of place.
She's lived hundreds of years on this island and then picked up and dropped suddenly into middle of World War One.
Right, so
and so she doesn't know anything about
modern world. She doesn't know anything about social normativity or anything like that, and so her sort of stiff delivery things, it feels appropriate. Mm-hmm. Now, her portrayal in Batman vs. Superman, where she's been in the regular world for 100 freaking years and she hasn't picked up on what a normal person sounds like, that was a little...
Right.
That movie had a lot more problems than Gal Gadot's performance. Though.
No, she is probably one of the one of the lesser problems in Bad Baby Superman. But then like her opposite, Chris Pine, he's so charming and so charismatic that he just like carries every scene that they're in together.
Trevor.
Yeah, which is if I'm not mistaken, from the comics, it was her romantic interest in the comic books.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I never read.
Yeah, I don't really read
Wonder Woman, but I don't really read DC at all. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but I watch some shows on YouTube about comic book history, and you're gonna get a lot of DC because some of the more interesting DC or comic book stories from the Gold and Silver Age are on the DC side because they're so bizarre.
Yeah.
And just goofy.
Yeah. So
anyway, he's so charming and charismatic that he carries every scene they're in, and they have almost as much screen time as each other. Like once he's introduced,
basically the same amount of screen time.
There's very few scenes where they're not in together.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Right.
Until like all the way up to the end of the movie, and then the rest of his and that's something I felt that there was enough character development. They gave time for character development.
Yeah.
There's the rest of Steve's crew that they put together.
Yeah, don't want to get too
but there's some cool characters there that don't get like a lot of screen time or development, but they get enough so you get to know them a little bit, and you do develop like an attachment to them.
Right.
So that, I mean, there's its strong points where it's script and its casting, and then I thought it was even if you took all the superhero elements out of it, it was a pretty good period piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it like the you didn't get to see a whole lot of the fighting, in the trenches and whatnot. There was a pretty action-packed scene of that, though.
You did get to see some of the horrors of this is a PG-13 movie, so there's not like a lot of blood and gore or anything.
Right.
But you saw a lot of walking wounded and the disgusting living conditions that they're in.
Yeah, and you also see the results of the use of chemical weapons in the trenches on some of
mustard gas
on some of the guys that are coming off the boats when they're going to the docks in one scene pretty early on in the movie.
Right. And then there was some humor in there too that like lightened things up here and there that was never really fell flat. There was some
which DC finally did, because Warner Brothers announced years ago that
they were
DC's gonna be serious. We're gonna be super serious when we have a flying alien in a red cape saving the world, flying around like the end of an episode of Dragon Ball Z fighting General Zod. And
we're gonna take this super serious. They want to be the diametric opposite of Marvel while still being superhero, and where Marvel takes a lighthearted.
I don't know why you would want that, because Marvel's proven that that's a financially successful formula. You have the awesome fight scenes, the interesting character development, and the humor.
Right.
It's a comic book movie.
Right, and so this movie has some humor. It's a combination of Chris Pine, his Stephen Trevor.
Yep.
His character just having a sense of humor.
Yep.
And plus a few other characters that are that way, and then Wonder Woman Diana's her reactions to the modern world.
Right.
When she encounters something new and like she's
blown away,
or it
just confounds her.
Or it's just so different from her culture, which is this ancient Greek warrior culture.
Right.
So let's see. Talk about script.
Otherwise, I mean, the only other thing really that I would say about is there's two revelations at the end of the movie. One, like we totally called from the very beginning of the movie, and one, while I didn't call it specifically, was not really a surprise.
Right.
So we'll get into that in the spoiler bit.
Yeah.
But I will say that about the ending. But that overall it is a very good movie. Highly recommend you go see it. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about though in the non-spoiler section is there were some visual effects shots that were not great.
Yeah,
because the movie made gratuitous use of slow motion in a lot of
some of the slow motion was really cool. Like this part where she throws this soldier, or she kicks a soldier, and the two of them go flying through this window.
Yeah,
and that was it was really pretty cool to see done. But like every fight scene,
every fight
scene was in slow mo.
It's like she starts a swing, they go slow mo partway through the swing, and then like just after she makes contact with someone, it speeds back up, and then slow mo just as she's about to make contact with another person.
Well,
and it's like
it seems to me, and I think this might be the case. The director had never done any action before. She's not known for action, although she's done some very well received movies. She's done a lot of TV, and she's done I think she directed Monster by Charlize Theron. She also wrote it, right. And this is based on this true story about a serial killer. And Charlize Theron got ugly. She got gained a lot of weight and had all this makeup to make her look pretty ugly.
Oh, really?
In the movie, yeah. But I mean, that was a very well received movie, and so she's done. Her body of work is not big, but it's well respected.
Yeah.
And but she doesn't do anything action, so it seems to me like maybe she was like, well, I'm gonna study some action movies to see how that's done, and maybe she looked at too much Michael Bay.
Yeah, although the thing is, there were some
Michael Bay is arguably a great action director. Like the way he does action it's become textbook.
Yeah,
but he pioneered that style, and that's why it's become textbook.
Right, but yeah, the thing is, there were some shots that looked really cool in slow-mo. There were some other shots where it's just
didn't need to be in slow-mo.
This really didn't need to be in slow-mo. And then there were some shots that, because they were done in slow-mo, and therefore, such slow-mo with so much going on that it was 90% CG, it just looked kind of bad.
Yeah, there was some that you could really tell. I mean, I brought this up in our Alien. There's scenes that is CG, but it doesn't look CG.
Right.
Some of these looked, and it's not all of it.
Yeah.
It's just a few parts here and there. But there, otherwise the visual effects were pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's about all we can really have for the spoiler-free part.
Right.
So, boom. Spoiler time.
Yep. All right.
So, the revelation that Wonder Woman herself was the God Killer and not the Sword was so obvious for the whole movie.
Yeah.
She
especially because
she released that power in the
daughter
training
of Zeus and everything.
Well, yeah, but she released that power during her training that everyone was just horrified by, and the fact that
except for her aunt was kind of pleased. You could tell even though her aunt's the one who got hurt injured by it, the look on her face was like she was pleased that it happened.
But all the other Amazons were shocked and horrified by it. But also the fact that her mom gave a really bullshit explanation for where she came from.
Right, but the thing is, she believed it. It was kind of funny. I guess in a world where gods exist, at least to you, I mean, these people, they know for certain that Greek mythology is real.
Right.
Then the idea that her mother sculpted her out of clay...
which is funny, because that means the Jewish actress is the golem.
Right. It was kind of funny when she told Chris Pine that, and he's like, neat.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah. Because she says it with such,
conviction.
She says it it's just an everyday thing. She says it someone would say that the sky is blue or that water is wet.
Right.
It's just something that's just so obvious and known that it's not really worth it's almost not worth mentioning,
Yeah, and he's like, neat. Oh, so I want to get into one thing I was concerned about going into this movie was because Warner Brothers made such a big deal about getting a female director. And they really pushed this idea, it's Wonder Woman, you should have a female director. Not a problem to me, I don't care, whatever. As long as it's the right director.
Yeah.
But it was a publicity thing, whatever. And then there's all this, like, feminist hubbub around Wonder Woman. And I was concerned that...
It would be preachy?
Well, I was concerned that you would go in and you'd have a movie where the Amazons are preaching the outside world, the world of man, that's controlled by man, is a horrible place because man rules it. And you can't trust a man. And it was all this, like, anti-man thing. And it was not that at all.
Right.
It did not,
which in today's political landscape, like the way things are online, in the Twitterverse and on social media and stuff, that would have been financially a bad move on their part to go either way on that. Mm-hmm. Go one way or the other on that. And it's not really an issue in the movie at all.
Yeah, it's not. It's they say the background is the Amazons, according to their beliefs, Zeus created them to defend mankind.
Well, yeah. So Zeus creates man.
Ares corrupts man.
Ares is jealous and corrupts man. Amazons are created by Zeus to sort of protect man from Ares, as well as to, stop them from warring with each other.
Right. Which we find out later is all bullshit. But that's what they believe. And so when Chris Pine shows up, I was expecting them to instantly, like, be hostile to him, but they're not hostile towards him. He shows up, followed by a bunch of Germans who attack, so they defeat the Germans, and they recognize that he helped them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does take some time with the lasso of truth.
Right, well, he's a spy, and so he doesn't want to reveal that he's a spy to anyone, and so it takes a lasso of truth for him to reveal that. But to me, it wasn't preachy like the world is horrible because man rules it. It was just the world out there has war because that's human nature.
Yeah.
And they didn't mistreat Chris Pine's character, Steven.
Yeah.
Remember Steven? Because Steve and Trevor, and then Steve Rogers, and then they both die in basically the same way.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie. Anyway. And they were going to let him go so he can go back to his world and everything. And they treated him pretty well. I mean, once they interrogated him, found out where he's from and what he's doing there and everything. So there was none of this like I had expected, and I'm glad to say it wasn't there, was the outside world, the world of man is a terrible place and ruled by men, and men are evil and all this stuff. Because it talked about the world of man as in mankind.
Yep.
Humans.
Yep.
Amazons are not... I guess they're not technically human. They're immortal in this, right? There's some sort of demigod kind of thing.
Right. And I mean, Diana in particular is... half
Zeus.
God, half Zeus, yeah. Half God and half Amazon.
Right, so she's particularly powerful. And the rest of them, I mean, they've all been living on this island for thousands of years. Who knows how long. But anyway.
Yeah, so they get back to London. You find out that Steve was in Turkey, spying on the Ottoman Turks. He found out that the Turks were building weapons for the Germans during the war, which... One thing that did kind of bother me as a period piece is, like, I'm glad that they do bring up the Ottoman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
They do bring up the Ottoman Empire as an entity, and it's not just the Germans. And I get that, like, the Germans
That even came to play later in the movie when his Moroccan friend posed as a Turk.
Right. And and I do like that, but it's like there was also a lot of other major powers in play there. It's always gotta get them Germans throughout the whole movie. The Germans.
Yeah, they kind of, because you were saying like throughout the movie, like, well, the Germans aren't the aggressors in the war. They didn't start the war.
Well, okay, they escalated it, but
yeah, they escalated, but they didn't start the war.
Yeah,
right. Because they're saying like Diana's convinced that Ares is behind everything.
That he's controlling the Germans, making them aggressive and making them fight
and
this war.
This general is in fact Ares in disguise.
Yeah,
and that's.
And I'm just like not only did the Germans not start the war, they're not even the ones. They're not even the ones who struck back defending themselves in the war. It was the Austro-Hungarians and the Serbians that started the war. It was not the Germans. So, but whatever.
But I was gonna get to that. Is they kind of remedy that though in showing that Ares is not that guy.
Right.
Ares is in fact this lord, and the Admiralty or something in England.
Yep.
Who's manipulating both sides.
Sir Patrick.
Yeah, Palpatine style. He's actually Ares, and he's behind the scenes. And it also reveals that Ares does not create war. Ares just gives...
He facilitates war.
He facilitates war. So he puts the idea of more powerful weapons into the heads of humans, and humans do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, they do.
Humans
are the ones fighting the war. He's just the one
and
that gives
starting the war. He doesn't even start them. He just facilitates it.
He's just the one who gives them the tools to fight the war.
Right. So, and that kind of remedied that what you were complaining about is like Germans didn't start the war, so why would he be, a German?
Right. So, yeah. But yeah, the revelation that that he was in fact Ares and not the German general was the thing I was saying is the thing that was I didn't call it. I did not.
It wasn't a surprise.
It wasn't a surprise. I did not think that I did not think that the what am I trying to say? I did not think that the German general was Ares.
No, I didn't. I thought it was going to turn out that like Ares was a myth or whatever, and it's just humans. This is human nature.
Or that this. I figured it was going to be that Ares just wasn't. Yeah, like you said, just it's not really Ares. This is just how humans are, or that it was going to be this guy was just like an avatar or an acolyte of Ares because. I'm sitting there thinking like...
Well, he didn't show any idea who Diana... You'd think Ares would know when an Amazon...
But I mean, even before he encountered her.
Right.
Because I'm like, Ares can't... Like, they cannot defeat Ares in this. There's no way that Ares is defeated, like, properly because, 20 years later, we have an even bigger world war?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing, is like, that's what convinces Diana that it is Ares and she needs to go fight Ares, is when Chris Pine is telling her that, yeah, this is a world war. It's got, 27 countries involved or whatever, and all these millions of casualties, because you gotta understand, even in ancient times when, you would have battles where tens of thousands would die in a single day. Millions of deaths over the course of a single war was still ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't happen. And so, the fact that, and especially not in a 4-year period anyway.
Right.
So that's what convinces her that it's got to be Ares, because this war is just too big to be anything but Ares.
Yeah. I was pretty sure it wasn't him. So the mustache twirl, like, well, we're on the villains.
Yeah.
So, Dr.
Poison.
Well,
Maru?
Maru, yeah. So she develops a new form of mustard gas that's hydrogen based,
and it dissolves.
It eats through gas masks.
Yep, it eats the leather and gas masks.
And so it'd be useless. Gas masks would be useless, and so we're right here at the end of the war, and Germany's going to sign the armistice, ending the war. The general, his name I can't remember. He doesn't want the war to end. And he's being influenced by Ares somewhat. We know that. And Dr. Morrow as well. But they don't want the war to end, so they gather all these German leaders.
Well, so what it is there's a council that has been discussing the armistice and the terms for the armistice, led by Otto von Bismarck, I believe. Mm. And the General Ludendorff, he wants the war to continue because he figures that if not Otto von Bismarck, a Baron Bismarck of some kind, but not Otto. Anyway, he's determined that if the war can go on a little longer, he knows that Dr. Poison can win the war with this gas she's developing, and he just needs to give an example, show it in use to the Kaiser. So he shows up for the meeting, this meeting of all the generals or whatever that are supposed to be discussing the terms of the armistice, and has a chest beating, head butting session. Mm-hmm. And on his way out, Dr. Poison, or he drops a canister in the room. Dr. Poison tosses a canister in the room.
He throws a gas mask in.
Oh yeah, and he throws a gas mask in. And so they close the door and lock it. And Dr. Poison goes, "The gas mask isn't going to help him." And he goes, "They don't know that." And they both go, yeah. And it was just like, what?
Yeah, so out of
and they're all like Dr. Poison's like looking through the window to see the effects of it and everything, and he's all like hunched over, like, "Come on, we have to go!" And they like go running up the stairs, and it's just like
what? Natasha,
what? It's just
So I was thinking about this while in the movie, particular scene that was happening, and one thing that is that this movie is pretty well crafted.
Yeah.
And one thing that makes a scene good is it has more than one function.
Yeah.
And so there's this gala that's gathered together to celebrate the armistice. And so Dr. Poison is there, and Chris Pine poses this German colonel, and he's trying to find out. Remember, he's a spy. And so he's trying to find out from her where they're keeping the poison gas, her new mustard gas, and so the way he gets it out of her is he pretends to be interested in her, not just her research, but her personally, and looking past, she's this horrible disfigurement on her face, and she wears this half mask to cover it up, and
it's this weird 3-section mask.
Yeah, it makes it look kind of like this broken ceramic doll.
Yeah,
almost,
which is probably part of the point of the design of it.
Right, and so, and she, who anybody would be self-conscious about such a thing, and she's clearly falling for this, and so it develops her character in that she has a vulnerability. She's self-conscious about this disfigurement, and here comes this handsome young man who may be looking past that disfigurement, and so it develops her character while at the same time he's trying to get information out of her, and then that fails when Diana walks in the room because he didn't expect her to show up, and she's wearing this blue dress. Everyone else is wearing gray and brown, and she's wearing this bright blue dress, and so it catches his eye, and he looks up, and so Dr. Poison is like, "Oh, well, clearly you don't have interest," and she gets pissed about that.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it serves the dual purpose of advancing the story and him trying to reach his goal at the same time it develops her character and humanizes her.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the character development in the movie overall was pretty good.
Yeah.
I gotta say, and even the secondary characters, like the band of misfits that are led by Steve.
Right. He's got this.
So he's got a Scottish sniper
who doesn't shoot that well.
Well, it's not that he doesn't shoot well; it's that he can't shoot someone whose face he can see. Like,
yeah, he can't bring himself to shoot someone when he can see their face, because
but he is a crack shot.
Right.
And then
this Moroccan actor, or he wants to be an actor, he's a spy.
Samir.
Yeah, I don't know if if any of these are actually characters from the comics or not. And
the chief.
The chief, yeah, who's this Native American smuggler who went to Europe to make a better life, because it's that time period when Indians are still getting a raw deal in America. Right. Worse than they are now anyway. So anyway, he has this group, this band of misfits that he puts together, and even they're developed for what little screen time they have.
Yep. Their character development sort of is used to show Diana that mankind has its flaws, but is overall worth saving.
Right, and that's the message she takes away at the end of the movie is because Ares just doesn't think mankind is worth saving. He's trying to destroy mankind, and he wants Diana to help him with that. But she, once she realizes that Ares is, because once she kills who she thinks Ares is, and it doesn't stop anything, then she loses all faith in humanity. And Chris Pine tries to tell her, look, that's just humanity. Humanity is shitty sometimes.
Yep.
But there's still goodness, and he's he says look, maybe we're not worth saving, but I'm gonna try to save it because I think it is.
Yeah. And
so she realizes, through the journey that mankind has a lot of flaws, but it's still worth saving. And one thing, there's a little small thing we bring up. We both noticed that Chris Pine has this watch that his father gave him, but it was this wristwatch, and we're both wristwatch hadn't been invented yet.
Well, it had. It was very new, as I recall. But the thing was, it had been in his family for generations, and the wristwatch was definitely not around long enough for it to have been passed down to him.
Right, but then when you get a close look at a wristwatch, you realize it's a pocket watch attached to a leather strap.
Right.
Which he wore on his wrist.
Yeah.
So I was okay, that not actually a anachronism.
Right.
But I'm sitting there when it first was introduced in the beginning of the movie, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. I do like that it was World War I.
World War II is a bit overdone.
Yeah, plus it'd be too close. It'd be too close to Captain America. I mean, yeah. She throws a shield on occasion, not as often as Captain America.
No,
but she does do it.
Well, she doesn't use a 45 like Captain America did.
No, she uses a sword. And
which
Steve goes out in much the same way as Captain America did. So I think there'd been too many parallels. The comics, she was introduced around World War II in the comics, I think. Yeah, but yeah, I did like. Plus, you don't get that many World War I set movies.
No, you don't. Well, they're expensive to make because you need a lot of extras and costumes because there was so you can't not have a ton of soldiers in the background of any combat scene.
Right, and then World War II, there's still a lot of that equipment around that you can get a hold of, tanks and whatnot. Whereas World War I, there really isn't.
Well, a lot of the weapons are the same. The British are still using the Lee Enfield.
Yeah, but getting a hold of World War I tank.
In full
uniform and everything. the availability isn't as much.
Right. But anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was cool that it was World War One instead of World War Two, just because, like I said, you don't get a lot of World War One movies, and it's, I think, as a result, an underappreciated genre. I mean, it was like when I found out that this was going to be set in World War One, I was kind of surprised, just like it was when they announced Battlefield One. When it was like, really? I didn't think that there was enough, like, a public interest in that.
Well, I think they're counting on the novelty of it.
It could be as well, yeah.
There just isn't a World War One based shooter for that in that case.
Yeah.
Uh,
but for a second, I want to talk real quick about Wonder Woman's outfit. So, I get that, like, Wonder Woman's got this short skirt and this curious that
queer
sort of that emphasizes her personality,
so to speak.
And kind of always has, because I mean, let's face it, what's the average market for comic books?
And if you know any history about the creator of Wonder Woman 2, that's an interesting read or watch if you find a video on this guy. I don't even know his name, but I've seen videos on YouTube, read articles and stuff. This guy was kind of a weirdo.
Yeah.
And a bit of a sexual deviant.
Yep.
So,
hence the lasso and rope.
Yeah. Oh, one part of her powers that did not come into effect was when you bind her, she loses all her power.
Right. That was not a thing.
That was not a thing in this. Well, she was never bound at any point.
In this, I mean, the thing is, like, Wonder Woman's powers don't feel like proper powers. Like, Superman's got powers. He's got laser eye beams and flight and stuff. She just seems like someone who's very strong.
Well, she lifted up a tank at the end of the movie. Yeah,
she's got superhuman strength, but I don't know.
But everything else is sort of an extension of that. Like, she can jump really far. That's an extension of her strength.
Right. Her combat prowess is just training.
Right. She can absorb or deflect lightning.
Presumably being a descendant of Zeus.
Well, Ares was shooting lightning at her.
We assume?
Ares was shooting lightning at her, and she was, like, absorbing
it.
Right,
but we're assuming that she can do that because she's a descendant of Zeus.
She has superhuman reflexes because she can deflect bullets with her armbands.
Yeah, that's true.
She's always been able to do that in the comics. And then she has the lasso of truth, which I think originally, like, it compelled you to tell the truth because it unlocked the goodness in you. But in this, it's like, if you don't tell the truth,
it starts burning.
It hurts. It's excruciatingly painful if you don't tell the truth.
Which I like a lot better.
Yeah, it is better that way.
But she does use it quite a bit for combat, which is cool.
Yeah, it is cool. She'll, like, pull a spider. She'll, like, lasso things and then swing them. Yeah, Spider-Man, he whips things and swings around. She'll lasso things and swing around, or she'll use it as a whip in some way. So, yeah, she uses it in combat quite a bit. I remember there was, like, a rumor when they first announced the movie, they were gonna, like, oh, we're changing Wonder Woman. We're getting rid of that sexy outfit, and they put her in pants, and like everyone is like, "What? No, that's not Wonder Woman."
But yeah, what I was getting at with her outfit though is like, I was sitting there and I was just like,
it's not Star Spangled though.
It's not Star Spangled, but it's still pretty freaking ridiculous looking. Like in the setting, it's just like, really?
It made her stand out though. Like when they're in Europe, everything's gray
and brown.
It's that. Well, that's that generic. Like it's like during war, there's never a sunny day in movies.
Right.
Like, I mean, some of that is smoke and whatnot too. But like the sun never comes out, especially in World War I and World War II. You look at sunny days in like Civil War movies, which you don't get them. You don't get them in Europe, in European wars, and so like her against the backdrop though of this very muted color palette, she really stands out.
Like I was almost like, even I was sitting there kind of like, I almost wish they would have changed this outfit, just because like her outfit's always been ridiculous looking, and it's like they're going for a much more serious take on Wonder Woman. Like, I mean, they're doing the best they can with the source material they have. Wonder Woman's always been pretty cheesy writing, not the best villains, and like a lot of plots of her comics are
Egg Foo. Does anyone know who Egg Foo is?
Yeah, a lot of the plots of her comics were not great.
No.
And so, they're doing everything a lot more serious with this movie, and she's still wearing this ridiculous outfit.
I had read that the director, Patty Jenkins, right?
Yeah.
She that had like come up, and she's like, she had said that she wanted like all the Amazons to be sexy, and that she wanted like their arms and their legs exposed to show off these like toned muscles that they have,
right?
As sort of an emphasis that they are warriors. And like, I mean, you look at like a woman that toned, and you like might think twice about trying to get into a fight with her,
right?
And that was like her thought process. So I mean, there's a directorial reason behind the short skirts and the bare arms on all the Amazons.
Yeah,
and it's not just sex appeal, which is I'm fine with the sex appeal, but yeah, I mean, really, it's just the colors. I mean, they're so bright and they're metallic.
Yeah,
it's like this metallic red. And it's funny because all the rest of the she's got this outfit. All the rest of the Amazons, earth tones.
Well, she's wearing like a magical cuirass. Yeah. Because like she, at the beginning of the movie,
when she was escaping, she was stealing all this gear.
Yeah, she was stealing all the gear when she was trying to sneak off the island.
She stole the sword, which she thought was the god killer. She stole the lasso, and she's like on the way out, and she looks, and there's like the armor and the headband, and she's like,
no, the headband was given to her.
Oh right, the headband was given to her. She's like on the way out, and she like sort of like looks over, and like the armor's there, and she's like, you might as well go for broke if you take everything. And so she, that's where the armor comes from. So presumably it's magical. I mean, it never got a scratch on it.
It never really showed like what it was even capable of or what was special about it, though.
Right. What I thought was kind of funny is
she never took any bullets to it.
Chris Pine was trying to cover her up all the time because like, you're not wearing any clothes. Put something. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the early 20th century. That I mean, it'd be weird seeing anyone walk around like that, but especially then, seeing a woman wearing something that revealing was just not done.
Yeah,
especially in like England. But yeah, I don't really have anything more to discuss about this movie. It's
yeah. Oh man, so
if DC had taken as much care and thought in the previous 3 movies in the DCEU as they did for this movie, they'd be able to be contending against Marvel right now.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing is, I think with the Superman and the Batman v Superman, they sort of went into it with this like, well, Superman and Batman are popular, we can kind of do whatever we want, and it'll sell tickets because it's Batman and Superman. Where Wonder Woman did not have as large a fan base as either of those other two by a lot. Like people know her mostly, for work with the Justice League or the Super Friends.
Well, yeah, they mostly know her from the animated stuff.
So, and I think they had a lot to lose. Like, if it's like, all right, it's time for the quintessential female superhero to have her own movie, and if they screwed it up, there would be hell to pay.
Yeah,
I think they had a lot more to lose with this movie than they did with the others.
I mean, this is the premier female superhero.
As awesome as Spider-Gwen is.
Well, I mean, you ask anyone, name a
female Marvel
character in the Black Widow, and you only know her from the Avengers. If you've before the Avengers movies came out, you didn't know anyone. You might like be able to name find somebody who can name some of the X-Men, but they're not that big. Wonder Woman is like the biggest.
Like, Wonder Woman is a relatively small hero, like popularity-wise, a relatively small hero compared to Spider-Man and Captain America. But as far as female superheroes go, she's...
Well, also recognizability. Everyone, whether you
like Wonder Woman or not,
you know who she is. She's instantly recognizable. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I just think they had a lot to potentially lose if they screwed this movie up.
Well, also, I mean, they've got 3 or 4 other movies in the works right now.
So is the next one the Justice League movie, or is the next one Aquaman? Because Aquaman's getting a standalone, isn't he?
Yeah, Aquaman's getting a standalone. The Flash is getting a standalone.
But not Cyborg.
I don't know if Cyborg's getting one or not.
The thing is, I don't think a Cyborg movie would do well financially because not that many people know who he is, and a lot of the people who know who he is don't care enough about who he is to
they
see a solo movie.
Teen Titans.
Right.
Not.
Yeah. But if any of them could really if any of them needs a solo movie before the Justice League movie comes out, it's Cyborg, because no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
The most of the people who know who Cyborg is, like you said, they know him from the Teen Titans cartoon, not even from the Teen Titans comic. And in the cartoon, he's so different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear that they're basing this off of the comic book.
I've seen the designs, and I kind of wish they would change it. He looks how he does in the comic, which I always thought was really bad.
Yeah. I just hope the actor who's playing him can make up for it, because I really like that actor. I forget his name, but he was. Are
you talking about his father?
The
guy who creates him?
Oh, yeah.
The guy who played Miles Dyson? I was like, this guy needs to stop with the robotics.
Yeah, that guy needs to stop with the robotics.
And he was in Eureka.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't remember his name. Anyway, I think we've basically beaten this horse to death. We're talking about Wonder Woman here.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but is Justice League, is that the next?
I don't know if it's Justice League or if it's Aquaman or well, I think it's the Flash, because they still don't have a director. So it's not the Flash.
They don't have a director again.
Right. They once again don't have a director. That's what that is.
So the Justice League has a release date slated right now for 17 November. So probably the next one. I doubt they're gonna have 3 DC movies in 1 year, right?
Right. That'd be pretty ambitious.
Yeah, that would be... Yeah. Ambitious is the right word. Jeremy Irons is going to be in Justice League.
Well, yeah, isn't he Alfred?
Yeah, but I kind of wasn't expecting...
He was in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, but that was... I don't know. There's just so many heroes being packed into... Justice League that I was not expecting many secondary characters to pop in.
I guess.
But I'm just looking at it here, and yeah, I mean, Queen Hippolyta is in there again. So, Martha Kent.
What about Martha Wayne?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, Jesse Eisenberg reprising his role as Lex Luthor. Nolan, I know you're excited about that.
We don't have time to get into that.
No, we don't. So what's our next movie? Do you know?
I knew. What was it? The Mummy, right?
Is it The Mummy? I guess we're seeing that.
Yeah. It's the start of a new cinematic universe.
Yeah, I just kind of don't.
I think the next one after it is Bride of Frankenstein for reasons. I don't know why it's not Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Unless that I, Frankenstein movie was actually the first?
No.
Please tell me it's not.
No.
Please tell me it's not.
No way. But yeah, so the Mummy's next week. Yeah, Bride of Frankenstein 2019. Oh, what if it was Victor Frankenstein? What if that was the first?
Oh, with who's that? McAvoy? McAvoy.
Yeah.
And
Daniel
Radcliffe. Yeah, that was...
Ooh, man, I'm looking at that Metascore. Ooh.
Not great, not horrible.
It was
not great.
It had problems.
It did. there was some okay stuff in there.
But I'm guessing that's not part of the this new monster cinematic universe that's going on from Universal.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's gonna be man, it's late. There's gonna be a Dracula at some point, I'm guessing, because in the trailer in The Mummy, there's like that organization that fights monsters or something that they're bringing in, and there's like a vampire head in a jar, or a skull with fangs or something like that. I think it's a skull with fangs.
I just hope they don't do a modern Dracula as part of that series.
They're doing a modern Mummy.
Yeah, but it's like The Mummy. It's like a remake of
Boris Karloff's The Mummy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know. The Mummy to me feels like something that could
be set
in any time.
Yeah.
But like the story of Dracula, I don't know. It's just I really hope they don't do a modern Dracula. I hope that one's a prequel to everything else, like Wonder Woman was for the Justice League.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's our take on Wonder Woman. Next week, I guess we're doing The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise and Sofia Boutella.
Yeah,
Russell Crowe's in that.
She's been popping up in movies all over the place lately.
Yeah, but Russell Crowe, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's who I'm most excited about.
She's in Atomic Blonde, too.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Russell Crowe will be... I hope Russell Crowe will be good in that, because I like Russell Crowe. Right. Russell Crowe should be in more things. So cool.
All right.
Yeah, so if you like that video, click subscribe down below so you can be updated when we post other things. We've been doing some other video game stuff, and we're going to keep doing new Fangled Motion Picture Show so long as there are movies to talk about, which, as long as we don't get a writer's strike this year, we should, it's a pretty safe bet we'll have stuff to talk about for a while. So we're going to keep doing that. So if you want to be updated when we post the next one, go ahead and hit subscribe below and let us know what you like about it, what you didn't like about it. If there's a part that we discuss or a particular topic we discuss about the movies that you just go, you know what, I just don't care about this, let us know. Or there's stuff you want to hear us talk about more, also let us know. Helps us to deliver a better entertainment experience for you. So until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.